Hi, this is Ted Post. I directed this particular segment of The Bridge of Chalons, starring Lee Marvin, which to me was a very wonderful experience with a cast and with a leading individual who knew exactly what he was about, how to go and what to do with the circumstances he had to face in order to achieve his objective. And Lee Marvin is one I'm talking about, who was actually a Marine in World War II and was wounded in Saipan, and understood all the intricacies and the complexities of what it is that go into serving in a situation where your life is at stake. And he projected a very strong and powerful kind of determination and will that kind of umbrellaed the entire group who had to work with him on this, and he inspired them to really reach a level of performance that I think made this picture even more dimensional and more exciting. The cast felt, by having Lee Marvin in this particular episode, they felt absolutely turned on by his intensity and the way he went about performing his objectives in the story. He revealed a powerful, almost a phenomenal sense of honesty and purpose that you rarely see in performance, especially in television, where there's little time in which to do the kind of material, do the kind of acting that you'd like to see done, that you would get in pictures that have more money and more time in which to get at all the values that will express as best as possible the objectives of what the story is attempting to say. Written by Bob and Esther Mitchell, this was an extremely well-written screenplay that I think turned everybody on, and everybody pitched in with everything that was within them to make the story work. And I think they did, because after seeing this just recently again, after not looking at it for so many years, I was kind of taken aback by the impact of it. There was an emotional impact which kind of touched me, that I was surprised that the picture was capable of creating, and it did. And so I really blame all the actors and the technicians as well, the camera guys, who were unbelievably wonderful in the way they went about registering the images that were pretty complicated to kind of photograph within the time that was allotted. So I felt lucky, really lucky, working with this very gifted group, and they all felt about Marvin that watching him was a lesson in what should be done under these particular circumstances, and they were happy as all hell at the end of the day, because they really felt that they accomplished something of value and something that they could share with an audience.
This is the Bridge at Chalons. We can expect outpost lines here and enemy patrols all the way to the river. Now, we're not looking for a fight. Our mission is to get to the bridge.
Marvin is relaxed more so than ever, more so in this particular type of segment than I've seen him in a few other films that he's done, because this segment spelled for him something that he experienced before and wanted to really share with an audience. And so he enjoyed really exposing what his feelings were, that duplicated, I think, his experiences in an actual combat set of circumstances in World War II. So I really feel that the cast was impressed, magnetized, electrified even by his intensity and his sincerity and of his sincerity of making this particular character as believable as he possibly could. It was contagious. It really affected everyone.
Not composition C. We use dynamite. Back home on the farm, I used to help my dad blow stumps.
Is that right?
Yeah, but listen, Sarge. What I really wanted to say is I know more about
Get away
blasting than...
from me.
But I thought when we got to the bridge, I
Look,
could...
stump blower. If and when we get to that bridge, I don't want you anywhere around me. Do you understand that? I'll get back in the file where you belong.
The way he handled the gun, of course, was something that was not seen too often. He handled it like he was born with a gun already in his arms, and he came out shooting correctly, hitting the target, and he wanted. He was unsparing in his way. He wanted to expose what it is and what it takes to be a soldier with a gun, and the gun being, you learn in the Army, is your best friend, and you treat it as your best friend, because if it's not there when you need it, you can consider yourself dead, and he knew that. So that that gun, he shined, he kept it shined and clean, and workable, and the way he had a style. He created a style in the way he manipulated the gun as well, which was very impressive and which affected a few people who wanted to imitate him, and they couldn't. They couldn't. It was impossible to do it as Lee did it. Lee was, as I say, gave birth to a gun.
What bloß in der Hase?
Are you trying to foul up this mission?
It's a loose rock. I couldn't help it.
You got loose brains. A guy with clumsy feet don't belong out here.
All right, hold it. What happened back there was an accident. It could happen to you, me, or anybody else. For now,
Vic Morrow related to Lee in an awestruck way, though he wanted to in some way not let that be too evident. So he worked hard. He told me at one particular moment, I gotta think of my character more and less of what Lee is doing with his, because I'm just watching him like objectively, too objectively, to see what it is that he's doing, and it's affecting me in a way which is affecting my character, which is being a fan. And I shouldn't be a fan. I should be someone who's opposing him, and so I have to really work hard at myself to deliver what I have to deliver, that my character is supposed to deliver in the scene, which is to be in direct conflict with this man's ego, and to really make his ego function in a way in which we can get all the others to cooperate and do the job, without making a deadly mistake, a lethal mistake. So so this was Victor was really Vic Morrow was so impressed. He was he couldn't get over how much energy Lee provided for the character, and still underplayed. It's not overplayed, and it's not over the top. It's underplayed intensity, which is a rare kind of situation for anybody to get involved with. This really calls for the best within you to respond, and Vic knew that, and Vic worked at it, and I think Vic came out gloriously in what he had to do and how he did it. he was convincing as well in terms of what his purpose was in the scene to accomplish, and he accomplished it. I think, as far as I'm concerned, he got the Medal of Honor for that.
Wir merken das besser an, ja?
Ja, ich glaube so.
Staging action sequences requires real interesting kind of thinking, the kind of type of thinking that will at all times consider the reality of the conflict or of the action, how to make it believable. That's the overall intention of what it is that the actors have to accomplish, and what the director must see happen. And so the job is to really follow what it is that the writers have declared on paper, what is occurring between the various characters in the various characters in the scene, and what it is they're expected to do. And your job is to do it, but make it exciting and make it credible. And so when you work with actors capable of doing that, they brought a kind of believability to their determination to make those moments be as truthful as they possibly can. They met the objective, and they fulfilled it quite excitingly well. It's all very believable, I think. It's none of it seems to be phony to me. It's not. No one was trying to kind of fake it. There wasn't any faking going on. They really duplicated reality, I think, in a way in which you believed that what they were doing, they were doing honestly.
We don't have much chance to get to that bridge as it is. If those crowds got away, we'd have no chance.
Now, you listen to me. I'm going to remind you just one time. I'm in charge of this outfit until we get to the bridge. And if anything happens, I'll decide what we do about it. You got it?
As far as actually working with the cast and reacting to their feelings about what it was they were supposed to do in the scene, and were they comfortable doing it, I think they were. I think they seemed very sensitive to what it was that they were supposed to be accomplishing in the scene. And what they did was to listen very carefully to one another. Then you know they're really relaxed. That's the key to relaxation, when you know the actors are listening to each other and then responding honestly to what it is that they're being told or asked to do. So I think that they're being as talented as they were, and seemingly very believable and natural as well. Even there was one inexperienced person, didn't have that much experience, but seemingly he seemed to be very comfortable with that lack of experience, because it was something he used honestly in the scene. I think it was Peabody who was the individual who seemed to adjust happily, as well as the others, to what was required, and they just did it as best as they could and as honestly as they could, and it created a reality, a believable kind of result.
I understand you've been blowing up stuff since Africa. Medic told me you lost a buddy your last time out.
Sailor guy, huh?
Look, Turk, we drew each other. I didn't ask for this any more than you did. All right, you've been wrung dry, maybe, but you can better your chances now as if you'd slack off a little.
Oh, I got it. Mother hen's worried about her little chicks, huh? You think the little soft soap will make me drop my charges against that slug-happy buddy of yours? Well, you're wrong. So why don't you stop trying to understand and just do your job? Oh, it's not much, but you're all the protection I have. And I'd feel a little bit better if you'd at least take your place up in the line.
Bob Hauser was, I did 214 patent places with him. Bobby was fast and imaginative, and he would do very complicated shots without complaining. He would do an imitation of me jumping up and down on a bed while shooting a camera. He would climb walls and ceilings with a camera, because this is what that was an imitation of what Ted Post kept on providing him with, these responsibilities. He joked about it, but nevertheless, he was responsive and he was challenged by it. Burkholz was the same. Burkholz was quiet and did it noiselessly and did it beautifully, and his photography was I think extremely well lit, and I never knew he was around, even because he did his job just a little different than Bobby. Bobby would be rather noisy and explain too what the complications were to me about lighting it within the time allotted us, and we get a big laugh out of it. But Emmett was not. Emmett just quietly went about doing his job and did it quickly and as efficiently as Bob did. They both were outstanding. Well, the first thing a director does when he reads a script, he worries about the art direction. He worries about the environment. That, to me, is where are these scenes going to be played, and will they be, kind of scenes that can play in that environment. Sometimes you're given environments where the scene seems to falter and not be too happy accomplishing whatever it's supposed to accomplish within that environment. So the environment works against it, so you have to kind of decide with the art director and the set dresser as well, what kind of an effect you're looking for that the environment will help me create. So the mood, the atmosphere, and all the things that go with that. That particular action at the graveyard was vital in terms of where we placed the stones and where we placed the trees. That, in other words, it had to be in a field that could express what the scene called for, and so these decisions are made. These decisions are made in pre-production, and they're made with the director as well. Although we had a great team, a great production team, and most of the time they were ahead of you. They knew exactly what would work and not work. They were that gifted, and they had to do it again within a time ratio which I don't think movies ever would dare be do given such time restrictions to accomplish so much in an environment that would not let you do it. But in this case, they knew what type of environment would allow all this action to take place believably, and they were a terrifically gifted team of creative people who made it easy for the director, made it easy for me. The time that you use to do a scene like this, it's about maybe, it could be a day or 2 days. It depends. I frankly don't remember anymore how long it took to shoot this. Although we had, a 5 to 6 day schedule to do this, right? So we had to do it within that schedule, period. And otherwise you'd find yourself nailed to a wall by the production office. And so you just, and with good people all around, I mean, everybody responding to the necessities that the scene required will help you get there, get to finish on time. It's when you don't know your role, when you don't know the lines, and when you don't know quite, you're not comfortable with what it is you're supposed to be doing, you know, etc. Then that's when we start stretching the budget and stretching the time element, and that's when it gets to be, for the production office, a major problem. But in this particular case, all these guys knew what they were doing and how to do it, and they did it with very little direction. They were talented enough to be able to register the required elements, emotional elements that the scene called for.
Well, it's not serious. I think I had it laced too tight for one thing, because it feels better already.
When you do a scene like this, you have to rehearse it carefully, number one. So what I do is mainly a master shot. I do a master to cover the entire operation. Then I go in and nail them over the shoulders or close-ups, whatever it is, or go in to emphasize the various areas that needed more underlining to make the moment more dramatic. It's as simple as that for me.
I'm not going back. I'm not going to quit and give him a satisfaction.
You're going back.
Do I remember where these scenes were shot? They could have been shot on the back lot of Metro, and also maybe in the Gura, maybe there. I'm not too sure anymore. But I think where MGM still had a terrific backlots at that time. So I think most of it was shot at the Metro backlots. Maybe where the fields of trees is so huge and so much, we may have gone into off stage and onto location to do that. So, but I for one, to remember exactly where these scenes were shot, I have to really scratch my memory harder than I am at this moment.
Should have been here sooner.
The number of shots we would accomplish during the day would average between 50 to 60 shots a day. Sometimes with the director, with the cameraman, depending how fast he would like these very complicated scenes. If it took a while, we would shoot less setups. I've been known to shoot as many as almost 90 to 100 shots a day. I've been known to do that with a cameraman who worked as fast as we did, as the actors did, to make it possible to get that many shots into the scene. But I must say that I got a call from Kenneth McKenna, who ran the UCLA school at one time, and I sent him. He wanted some one set of dailies from me, and this was not combat. This was Gunsmoke, and I sent him like 58 setups that I did in one day, and he did not understand how. He called me from UCLA to ask me, how could you shoot 58 setups in one day and get them to look as good as they look, and have the actors as good as they seem to be, so perfect? I said, experience, sir, experience. That's all I could say to him.
Will do.
There's a backwash down there practically surrounded by brush. We can try it out there.
But if it works, we'll lash everything on the top and make it in one trip.
Could I load it up now? Then we'd be ready to go the minute it gets dark.
Right. Billy, you go with me up the hill. We'll pick out a spot for you to dig in.
You want me to stay on this side?
You'll give us cover. Let's go.
Tommy would even when he was not shooting, would hang around and watch Lee work. He was very much impressed with Lee, and wanted to really duplicate him, imitate him in some way. And of course, you know, you can't do that, because Tom had his own personality, which was invaluable for the kind of character he was playing in the scene. And I don't think Lee Marvin could have played his character. So that's all I can say about Tommy. Was just awestruck, and awestruck enough to kind of try to, as I say, see whether he could be another Lee Marvin. Well, his personality was not built that way. It was built in another way, a very specially different way, equally as valuable as Lee's was, as Lee's personality was to him. I direct usually at a very fast pace. So sometimes it's not fast enough for a lot of people because we fall behind for one reason or another, technical or otherwise, or the actor's having a little bit of a little problem with whatever it is he's having a problem with. So you give him the time but it's never like looking for a shot. All shots were ready to go, because when I rehearse anything, it's rehearsed right in front of the camera. And they know what the shots are going to be. Any good cameraman who looks at my master shot will know where how many shots are going to be involved before we finish the scene completely. How many over the shoulders, how many close-ups, how many medium shots, and how many 2 shots or 3 shots are going to be involved in the scene. Most cameramen will tell you what it is they're going to do if you don't mention it to them. So it's not, the time element has to do with whatever hindrances that appeared that acted as blocks would take some time, and therefore the production officer, that would give the production of a cue to do their job. Start yelling at the director to push forward rapidly, get there faster. In other words, to kind of yell at the actors for speed up, tell them to speed up to know their lines and all that, and you can't do that. All you have to do is wait patiently for what the actor, you can't, in other words, excise the actor's confidence. You got to keep his confidence always intact, and he's got to be secure in feeling that you have confidence in him, that he'll be able to achieve what he's there to achieve. So, pushing. Some of these people just pushed mechanically. They did it because they were told to do it or had to do it. That was their job to do it. Whether or not it needed to be done or not, they didn't give a damn. They would just, especially when somebody from the main office would come down, they'd start yelling, even though it was uncalled for, So as far as I'm concerned, the stress of getting it done on time was always there. You never lost that stress. And you always were aware of it, but sometimes you couldn't do it as fast as you'd like to because the conditions didn't allow you to do it at that moment. And so you have to be sensitive to those conditions so that you will not block whatever it is that's preventing it from moving forward in a way in which you'll end up going way over budget.
I've come a long way. When I was 17, I was setting charges in open pit mines. At 21, I was blowing oil wells. I'd hate to cash in now because some jerk who's not dry behind the ears yet slops up a detail.
Gene never came on the set. Maybe he come once or twice. I don't remember him. I never saw Selleck, only in his office or on the telephone. I never spoke to Selleck except on the telephone, and he would call me all the time, patting me on the back all the time, giving me wonderful compliments, liking what I was doing, and you got to do more, and all that stuff. So that was the only time I spoke to Selleck. Maybe I may have had one little conflict with him on a story I didn't think was ready to go yet. May have had some little debate with him about that, but otherwise, no, it was. I found it was a rather happy relation. Richard Goldstone, who did my first one with me, who then did 214 patent places with me, or maybe about 200 or 300, no, 200 or maybe 100 or something, was an excellent producer too, as so was Gene. They really protected the director a lot. They knew what the director had to have, and they made sure that he, most of the time, had it. What a director does when he first gets involved with a TV show is the thing that's the most engaging thing is the script. You start with that number one to see that it's in the best of condition, that whatever needs to be done is done before you get on stage and before you give the actors the lines to memorize. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes You get the as I have been given the script the day before you start shooting, and the actors are already there, and so you call the writer, and the writer is not encouraged to come by the producer. That horrified me. Being a theater director all my life, I was kind of dumbfounded that the writers were kept in closets. They were not allowed out of the closet at all to come and work with the director. When I started first in Schlitz Playhouse Stars, that's where I began. I began with having the writer with me at all times. Although the writer in Schlitz was in New York when I was in Hollywood, but then the script was pretty good, so I wasn't worried about what I had to work with. Except that the first script that I ever been given to do was a radio script, in which I had to find visuals for, in which the producer, who happened to be John Gibbs, at that time who produced the Robert Montgomery show, was then an agent at that time as well, and was producing the Schlitz Playhouse of Stars at that time, which he sent me out to do, was unaware of the fact that a radio show was not a TV show, because his wife had written radio shows, and we were doing his wife's shows on radio. So when I changed it to into a visual kind of experience, I made scenes out of it, visual scenes out of it. He got angry, his wife got angry, because I changed the script from being a radio show, which was like one woman talking for 30 minutes about her experiences. In this case, it was Peggy Ann Garner was the star of the first one I did on Schlitz, and it was a kind of a show that I know people would not sit patiently and hear somebody talk for 30 minutes. So I just created scenes, and so when he got the rough cut, I was fired from the by Gibbs, because his wife said I had ruined her particular script. It's when the vice president of Schlitz saw it and said, it was such a brilliant job that if you fired Ted, we'll withdraw our account, that he called me. I was packed, getting ready to go back to New York. And I got a call from Bill Self at that time, who was associate producer of Schlitz, saying, come back, all is forgiven. My father loved your work. He said, if you're not doing more here, then he said he's going to withdraw the account. So I got back that way, and it got great reviews. I was nominated on that show that they thought was ruined because I had visuals implanted into it.
Hold on.
When I start to do a show, I usually lay out all my shots. I've got to lay them out and see what they're like. That's at the beginning when I did live television. When I did so many live television shows, I didn't have to do that anymore. I knew the shots in my head. So when I read a script, I started with combat. All I did, I knew the shots in my head. And what we do is we meet on production, at a production meeting. We meet with all the essential people who help make the show possible, and we discuss all the elements that are bothering them. In other words, how will I shoot this scene? Where will I want it? Will I want this? Will I want that? What kind of props would you want? And I have and the prop man will say, I have this in mind. Do you have other props in mind to help create a little more excitement in the scene, or more meaning for the scene? And I would give them what I felt would be needed, more props, my thoughts on it. In other words, we discuss the pros and cons of the script to see what it is that we must do to make it workable, and workable so that we also meet the schedule.
Like that, you know.
I'll blow it any way I can.
Look, take that mess apart, Saunders. Don't be stupid. You try to blow the bridge that way. The Krauss will have it together before morning.
Sir, I haven't got time to take a correspondence course, and you're in no shape to do the job.
Just listen to me and do like I say. Bust up that ball into 3 equal parts. Don't make the charges no bigger than that. Make about 20 of them. Then get the primer cord. Cut it in 3-foot lengths. Put the end of the primer cord in each one of the charges.
I was with the combat engineers, 235th Engineer Combat Battalion. That was in Italy. We blew up a lot of things. And I know that I didn't want a fake blowout. I didn't want anything to look like it was a little pitsy little explosion, because that would not create the illusion I wanted to create, that they were these people were dealing with dangerous factors that could take their lives. So what we did was to work out a way in which to get the explosion to protect the actor at the same time and still make that explosion significant enough to say how dangerous it was to have these particular men trying to accomplish this particular assignment. So everybody worked hard to achieve that effect, and I think they did achieve it. It was not like we could have done more had we had more money and more time and all that. Could have been another the one that David Lean did, the picture where they blow the bridge up, It could have been something like that, but although I tried to duplicate something like that as well, I did as best we could with TV money, not big motion picture money. And I think the point was made. Blowing a bridge up at night makes the scene always a little more complicated. Requires more light, a certain kind of light that will still give you the effect, make the people see what it is that you have accomplished, or see what's happening, and give it the kind of kick that a scene like that deserves to be exposed to. The number of cameras we used in this was about 3. I think we couldn't afford more. I could be wrong. There may have been 4, but I don't remember 4. But it could have been about 3. In fact, if there were 4, I had somebody hold a handheld camera in the process as well. So we had 3 on sticks and 1 handheld. I'm not too sure about that. When you blow a bridge up this size and this important and with so little time and, as I say, so little financial support, you got to be extremely careful how it's done. Everybody is tense. Everybody is nervous about whether or not it'll come off. And everybody's worried about any sort of a mistake that could be made would absolutely, maybe we would lose the shot forever and never be able to do it again, find another way to achieve whatever it is the scene called for. As I've been involved in occasions of that kind. We had to find something else because we couldn't afford to do that other scene again because of the amount of cost, the cost that was involved. So in this case, there is a tremendous amount of tension. Everybody is nervous, everybody is curious, everybody watches. They come to watch to see that, and everybody sort of silently prays that it'll happen the way it should happen. And that's the feeling that is created given these particular risky situations.
Bring the wire over here.
Vic Morrow had to stay in that water for quite a long time in order for us to get all the shots necessary, although we did it as quickly as we possibly could. But still, you're in that water, and it's very uncomfortable in a sense. And the water is not that clean. Well, they claim it to be clean, but it's not. So there is concern, etc. And but I don't think Vic ever complained about being in the water for any length of time. I think he was a true trooper. This guy was a trooper. I never heard any word of complaint. He may have complained to others, but not to me.
I'll count to a slow 40. I'll give you time to get out.
Give me the handle.
This is my job.
My job is to get you back.
You'll never get me back.
I said give me that handle.
No.
right, just
Lee was known to be sort of a man with a hollow leg. He kept pouring it down, you know, as if it were water. He was drinking water. And one day when we finished shooting, he asked me, let's have a drink. So, being friendly, I said, okay. He took me to a bar. And I sat with him at the bar, and he ordered a drink, and I ordered soda water or lemonade or whatever it was. He looked at me with a very horrified expression. He says, what is it you've ordered? I said, either lemonade or what is it, soda water. I forgot which it was. He says, what about a drink? I said, I don't drink that much. He said, don't you like it? He says, well, it doesn't appeal to me, although I occasionally sip something, I don't know what, but a glass of wine or something. He said, well, I want you to start being a man, he said. I'm going to order a drink for you. And he ordered me a drink, a scotch and soda. He said, a double scotch and soda. So he brought it, he said, now, he says, you gotta learn to be what it takes to be a director. Especially doing a show like Combat. So he said to me, you never drank in the Army? No, I said, I never had time to drink in the Army. And I wouldn't want to drink in the Army. I wanted all my senses around me all the time. I never knew what was going to happen from one minute to the next. So he said, okay. He said, now, oh, look at that explosion. It really was something huge. They really built it up more and more because I kept saying to them, don't give me a pift, give me a boom. So, and I kept on adding more and more powder to it, and they got the effect at least we could afford, and it would look presentable and look believable. I learned a little later that that bridge that was blown up in my episode was used again in another episode, and I wasn't paid for it. I wasn't compensated for it. So.
He's dead. What are we carrying him for? He's dead.
He can't be. He can't be. He's alive.
I must tell you, when I ran the film to remind me of this episode, I was experiencing something. I was seeing something as if I'd never seen it before. I was really looking at it as a total stranger who was going to watch an episode to see whether or not it was a good one or not. And sure enough, I got lost in the episode, not knowing that I even was involved. I couldn't identify with it. I could not identify with it until I ran it a second time, and I began to get familiar vibes about the fact that I did work on this one. And then I saw my name. I said, it must be true. I did somehow manage to direct this. How, I don't know. If at that time, now you're really getting into you're punching into my memory in a way in which it's coming back in bits and pieces. My reaction to this episode was I was tremendously impressed with the work that was done by the performers and the crew, the editor, the composer, even the cameraman. They all contributed to a surprisingly effective piece of theater TV theater, as far as I'm concerned.
Prefer charges against Kirby and get him court-martialed. And I'm gonna find you.
Get out of here, Mother Hen. Go back to your chicks.
Chicks, huh? I've fought with them ever since Normandy. They're good soldiers. And the reason they're out there all busted up is because they try to get you to the bridge.
Get out of here. You know something? I'm going to have to put him up for the Silver Star.
Seligman, who was the producer of the series, who owned the series, liked the work that was being accomplished, and he kept calling me, asking me to do more. But my agents kept me busy had assigned me to other projects. So whenever there was an opportunity, I came back to do another one. So how many did I do? About 4, 5, 6? I did 6. I totaled 6 episodes, which even surprises me that I did that many, because I would have loved to have done all of them. When Altman left, he left in a hurry, and they asked me to complete Altman's episodes, which I had to do with my own. So that was the first episode I did some of Altman's pages, and then I did my own. So they burdened me with more to do, actually, but Altman was pleased, I think. I'm not too sure whether he saw it or not, because he got involved with a lot of action, because he was a rather busy writer, and he kept busy by creating material for himself. I wish I was that gifted with being that kind of a writer. I would have loved to have done what he was able to do with his own writing. I hope that the little bit that I've said about my experiences, I wish I didn't bore you with this thing, and I hope that you felt that you didn't waste your time looking at this rather, I think, excellent film. This is Ted Post, and thank you for watching.